Welcome everybody to another wonderful episode of Sisters.
Unfiltered.
I'm Stacey,
And I'm Stephanie.
and we are here for another edifying, encouraging episode to uplift you and to make you evolve and
Empower.
think and everything, all the things.
All the things.
Okay, so this week's episode is like a two-parter to womanhood, and we're talking to that little girl on the inside. We all
Ooh.
have her. Some of us acknowledge her, some of us forgot about her, but we all have her. So today we are talking about the little girl and a lot more about womanhood, putting them two together and see what it comes out. So yeah.
Yes, guys. So, for me, I would have to say the little girl inside of me that still exists wanted me to speak up more. She wanted me to advocate for myself more. She wanted me to stop tearing down myself when things didn't work out or when people didn't validate me the way I thought I was going to get validated or when people didn't meet my expectations. And I don't know if many of you can relate, but just being a woman in general and being a Black woman in society um is not easy. And it's not easy because the societal norms, they're not gauged for Black women. When you look at a lot of things, we don't fit into those categories. So growing up, seeing a lot of things and not having the representation of things that looked like me made me believe that I couldn't be in those spaces. And I also do feel like it played a role in the trajectory of my life and what I thought I could be, career wise, because I didn't see a lot
Hmm.
of people that looked like me in certain spaces. So when you grow up and you allow yourself to hold on to these norms, I have to honestly say it does make you feel like you have to reroute a lot of your plans. And life's for a lot of us, and that
Hmm.
also causes you to reroute your plans too. But when you don't see enough representation in certain spaces, it kind of makes you believe that, oh, I'll be the one to change it. It hasn't happened, or I haven't seen it. So it creates a lot of self-doubt and all of those things. So I say all of that to say that the little girl in me wanted me to speak up more. She wanted
Hmm.
me to advocate for myself more. She wanted me to say in situations that I wasn't comfortable in, excuse me, I don't like this, or I don't like this to be done. The little girl in me wanted me to speak up, but she
Hmm.
wanted me to have my back, have my own back and advocate most importantly. And I see it show up a lot now in my adult life where I'm placed in a lot of situations where I need to advocate for myself. And if not for myself, then someone else who cannot speak up for themselves. So it's just so funny how the tables have turned.
Hmm.
And I know a lot of us can also relate in the realms of just self love overall, right? The little girl in me wants me to love myself. She wants me to value myself. She wants me to hold myself to a high standard. And I can remember certain instances in my life where I didn't do that. And there were certain parts of me that would just say, why didn't you deal with that situation differently? You knew it wasn't something you wanted. You knew it didn't make you happy. And these, speaking in the realms of relationships, right? And just allowing people to come into my space and deal with me how they so choose, because I just wanted the companion. I wanted the company. So I didn't want to seem like I was complaining too much or I was making too many requests. So that resorted to me having to tolerate certain things that I really genuinely didn't want to tolerate, all for the sake of wanting to feel like I had somebody. Um, and not realizing that all of that love that I was seeking from somebody else, I had to first then give myself. Because if I would have given myself that love, I would have known that these situations are not going to give me the love that I could give myself. So I should leave it alone. Um, and I know on this journey of self love and healing, we find ourselves as women in a lot of unhealthy situations and just trying to fill spaces and fill voids and seek validation, whether it be sexually, whether it just be, a physical thing where you just want to have someone around. So you don't really, take stock on the type of people you keep around. You just want anyone
Hmm.
around you just to say you have somebody. And that
Yeah.
has been a journey in itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say the little girl in me, she is always up and aware and alert and telling me you got to get it together, fix it,
Mm-hmm.
adjust it. And that's what I plan to do now. And I feel like that's my life's purpose, to be the person that I needed when I was a little girl that I didn't see
Mm-hmm.
for myself. Um, and show up in those spaces for myself in that way. So what about you, Stacey? What do you think the little girl inside of you needs from you right now?
I guess for me, the little girl back then needed her father to show up in a different way. Not to say my father wasn't in my life, but
Mm-hmm.
how he showed up created a void that stayed with me past my little girl stage. And if I be completely honest and authentic with myself first, before I can be with anybody else, I'm still trying to navigate that little girl and her
Mm-hmm.
experiences in today's Stacey,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, Again, how my father chose to show up for me caused me to look for a fix. And when I say a fix, not necessarily drugs, because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't, indulge myself in those things, but
Filling the void.
in terms of looking for, because I had mentioned before that when I was younger, my complexion was an issue for me. And I felt like I would have always had a struggle finding somebody to like me, like genuinely like me or love me or whatever because of the color of my skin. Now, if I go to my early 20s, late teens, early 20s, I started to associate sex with love. I don't know if I'm the only person that
You're not.
has done that, right?
Mm-mm. Not.
But taking that fix of being with somebody and hoping that this exchange makes them love me or whatever type of affection that's directed to me, I then internalize it as love
Mm.
just so that I can feel better about myself in that moment is what I was doing. So if I took time, or when I took time to realize that I was associating sex with love and using it as an opportunity to feel some kind of connection from a man, then the little girl in me went back to I wasn't getting what I needed from my father. So
Mm-hmm.
now when I sit with myself and I'm like, because even recently, I always said, when I start to do things and I start to get a certain, way in life and whatnot, um, I can get rid of my last name. And it was only a couple of days ago that I was having a conversation, and I don't know, it probably was the Holy Spirit that dropped in me. If I want to accept all of me, and I want somebody to accept all of me, I have to accept that I have two parents. And I can't just take the good from one parent, leave the bad, and then don't want to take nothing from this parent, making it seem like I get all of me from one. No. So I have to extend that same grace to both myself, because my father has passed a long time ago. And I don't hold any type of hatred. I don't hold any type of, anything towards. I felt like if I just don't think about it, it ain't happen. I felt like if I don't talk about it, then it's not a big deal. But
Mm-hmm.
then it's showing up itself in my life in areas where I wanna don't worry about that part. Let me leave this part aside. It's not all of that
Mm.
important, right? But I want somebody to accept all of me, and I'm not accepting all of me, and I've made up from both ends. Two ends of the spectrum is what have me here today. So I
Mm.
can't glorify one part, pull down the other part. and then want to be accepted.
Mm.
So for me, the little girl in me had to, and probably is still going through those daddy issues,
Mhm.
right? Because I haven't arrived.
Mhm.
I'm still going through the process. But
Yeah, and
coming to
it's
the
okay that you
revelation,
haven't arrived.
correct. But coming to the realization that I first have to accept all of what I am, not only my character and how I interact with people, my personality and all these things, but realizing that, hey, I am a product of this person. I'm a product of this person. And I have to. And I tell my son, so you have to accept people, the good and the bad. No one person is all good and no one person is all bad. But if you're going to be connected to somebody, you have to understand that they have good and bad. And you have to take them in whole, not in part.
Mhm.
And I had to realize that I needed to extend that same philosophy and apply it to that part of my life that I was just turning my eyes to. If I
Mhm.
don't talk about it, if I don't think about it, you understand? So the 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 little girl in me, that part of it,
Mhm.
I had to deal with, and I'm still dealing with. Be giving grace to myself, right? Giving grace to myself because that little girl had no fear, had no boundaries. I had a relatively good childhood. It wasn't perfect. A lot of things I've been through, right? But from a very young age, I said, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that. And in my mind, I didn't have any limitation. Then now I'm at this age and I'm like, I didn't get to do the things that I wanted to do based on decisions, based on circumstances, based on whatever it is. I didn't get to do that particular thing. Now I'm even harder on myself to the point of me being in the hospital. I so don't want to not do what I say I'm going to do that I push myself to the point of me getting ill, that I'm not giving myself that grace. I'm not giving myself that mercy, and
Mm.
I'm not allowing God to do the work. Like I
Mm.
know I can do all things through Christ, but I think, and the Holy Ghost had to reveal this to me. I was trying to do everything in me,
Mhm. Mhm.
and then we hear now. So yeah, it's been through a lot, made a lot of
Mhm.
bad decisions, right? And the easiest thing we can be is hard on ourselves. Why did I do this? Why did I do that? I should have, I was stupid. I should have done that thing. Like,
Mhm.
I should have had that abortion. I should have had that, you know, I should have
Mhm.
had those type of things. I should have done those. I should have never dated him. And I got pregnant and I do this and I messed my life up. And oh my God, oh my God. And it feels
Mhm.
like it's the end of the world. And it feels like there's no redemption. And it feels like there is no way out. And I'm stuck with the life that I have because of the decisions that I made. And
Mhm.
and then you pull yourself down to like, what's the point of even living? In the most recent season of my life, I was like, I'm not even going to be bothered believe God for nothing. Whatever happened, happened. However my life goes, it goes. It doesn't matter because I was believing God for this one particular thing so hard, and I was praying and I was interceding, and this thing, it didn't happen. So what's the sense? And it was like 2, 3 months in that state. And I was like, this is whatever God, whatever you want, give me, give me. If you want to give me nothing, it's okay. You just stay here and wait till you call me home. And then one day I was laying down and the Holy Spirit said he's trying to take your faith. And it was so audible in my ears. I was like, I was on my bed. So nobody was there. But it's like he's trying to take your faith. Because the word of God says it's impossible to please God. You don't have faith.
Mhm.
You need to have faith.
Mhm.
So if I know put my faith to the wayside and say, God, I ain't gonna believe you for nothing. I ain't gonna trust you for nothing. Is the enemy trying me, giving the enemy the access to no longer believe that God is able and that He's not going to give me the desires of my heart? He's trying to take your
Mm-hmm.
faith, right? So it's womanhood,
Mm-hmm.
the little girl, the little boy that's looking for love, that's looking for validation, that's looking to be seen. Because one of the things, you know, being struggling with complexion and colorism and whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not saying that dark skinned girls have the monopoly of color on colorism. Because they are, you know, women of lighter complexions that were in spaces that had issues, you know, with people because of their complexion. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
spectrum of it you're on, it's not a good feeling at all,
It's not.
whatsoever. But
Mm-hmm.
coming from that place of dealing with your complexion, sometimes it creeps itself in sometimes. It's not completely gone, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Sometimes it's completely it creeps itself in. But dealing with that and coming to this place in life and dealing with all that I've had to go through, and many women listening to this podcast, everybody's been through something
Yep.
that pull at the very fabric of who you thought you were going to be. Especially if you had a wonderful childhood or not so chaotic, and
Mm-hmm.
then boom, you had a situation that just pull at the fabric, and it feels like that completely altered how your life went.
Mm-hmm.
How now you're living in this stage of, oh my God, if this one thing didn't happen to me, like I wonder where my life would have been,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I
Yeah.
don't know what experiences you've had.
Yeah. What you said, I definitely resonate with. For me, I would have to say I've had fair share of the daddy issues. Do I feel like they still exist or they show up in certain ways? Yeah. Even though I've had both my parents,
Hmm.
in the household, I feel like for me, there's areas where my dad could have shown up better in. And I feel like because he didn't show up better in those areas, it made me feel like because that was a trait that he had that hurt me a lot, that's a trait that I want to make sure I work the hardest on. So
Hmm.
whether it's like, for example, being true to my word, and now I feel like it's presented itself in my life at times as being a people pleaser. And it's because now that you're talking, I'm like, wow, that is one thing I can say. And I've been called a people pleaser before. Um, excuse me. And I always wanted to know where that stemmed from. Where does it stem from? Me wanting people to be happy with the things I do, or, needing that validation and wanting to hear the good job and the things like that. It's because I wasn't getting that. I wasn't
Hmm.
getting that from either of my parents.
Hmm.
Um, and not because they just didn't want to, it's just because just not having, I guess, the time to take
Hmm.
that moment and say you're doing a good job. So I always felt that I needed to overwork myself. Because I seen the people around me that overworked themselves, they got the accolades, they got all of those things. And I think that's why I was always like thriving in school and trying to be that so I can get those things. And I reached a space in my life, I would say more recently, um, where I said I'm doing away with doing or feeling like I need to live up to other people's standards, right?
Hmm.
Feeling like I need to hear the good job. Although these are good things, you want to hear a good job. You want to hear, you want that. Even as adults, you want that. We thrive from it.
Hmm.
So a lot of times we don't want to seem like we're being needy, I guess, for those type of
Hmm.
things. But we all want to hear a good job. We all want a compliment, right?
Hmm.
And but I feel like now as an adult, because I've spent so much time on my own, I've had to be my own cheerleader. And
Mhm.
the little girl in me wants me to cheer harder for myself. Because she's
Mhm.
like, you didn't do it then. So now you
Mhm.
need to cheer harder. No matter how small the accomplishment is, cheer
Mhm.
loud for it. So I think in right now, I've practiced when I do certain things, I say, you know what? That deserves some ice cream. Go ahead, get yourself some ice cream for that. That deserves go movie time. Go give yourself some movie time. Giving myself grace in those areas, which goes to what I previously said in our last video, showing yourself that appreciation. And it starts with that. That's what giving yourself grace is. That's what acknowledgement of self is. And I feel like we don't take that time to say, you know what, I think I did good. It was rough. The weapons was trying to form, they ain't prosper. We thank God.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna treat myself to this because I was able to get past that thing. Um, but the little girl inside of me definitely wants to remind me, even now on my journey, that you are enough. Because I felt because
Mhm.
I wasn't getting those accolades that I wasn't enough.
Mhm.
So the girl inside of me said, "You are enough," and that's what I'm actively working on. I am enough.
Mhm.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I understand. I do. I completely understand because
Girl, you gonna make me emotional on this video here. Stop it. Ooh, child.
listen, girl, you are enough. I
You
am
are
enough.
too.
I am
You
enough.
are too. What? I
Girl.
wasn't child.
Oh my
Ooh.
God.
Oh, you are enough, Stacey.
Yes.
You are enough. You are beautiful. You are an amazing mother. You are an
Girl,
amazing daughter. You are
thank you, but
amazing
stop.
everything.
Please. Can you please? Because
I just wanted to tell you, if no one's told you today, you are amazing.
thank you. And this is what's part of womanhood because we talk about sisterhood. And when you see, I can't even see.
I can't even see the lashes in my eye and the tears. Oh, child.
Oh my goodness, I can't see.
Oh, boy.
This actually feels like one of our
Oh,
conversations that we have. Um, because when you've been, and most recently I find myself in a position where I question, like, do I deserve it? Right?
mhm,
Is something wrong with me?
mhm.
Why is it so hard for somebody to love me?
Right.
Why is it so hard for somebody to accept me?
Oh, child.
And when
Mhm.
you continuously find yourself in that cycle of making the wrong choices because you're seeking validation, it puts you in a position of continuous trauma
I gotta take
and
these
grief.
lashes off. It's getting real up in here. This is it's getting unfiltered.
Grief, heartbreak, disappointment, and just a complete annihilation of your self esteem, your self confidence, and
Mhm,
your idea of your self worth.
mhm,
And if you've ever found yourself in a position where somebody's actions or inactions has caused that level of damage to you, you need that sister or brother, maybe not a physical sister or a blood relative, to encourage you that you are enough, that you are
mhm,
worthy, that you are more than
mhm.
enough. Because you're not even just barely enough to make it.
Yeah,
You are
just to
more than
scratch this,
enough,
you are more than enough.
you
Yeah.
know? And it's, I know life gets very battering, and it seems like you are the baseball and life is the bat. And it's
Mhm.
just between the pitcher and the
The
batsman or
thrower,
whoever you're
yeah.
called,
The
it's just
pitcher, I
between the two
think
of
it's the
them.
pitcher and the thrower. Whoever's throwing the ball.
Right, that's the pitcher. Right?
No, that's the
He who
pitcher. Oh,
pitching ball.
okay.
The other person that comes.
No, the
Anyway,
pitcher is the one with the bat, and
with
the
the bat.
thrower is the one sitting
Listen,
down. And we
I know
listen. Clearly, we
cricket.
ain't sports fanatics, people.
Okay, I know cricket.
Fill it
We have the
in.
bowler and the batsman. So for
You didn't
people who
say
know
you was
cricket,
talking about cricket.
I was trying to be northern. For people who know cricket, there's a batsman and a bowler.
I don't know nothing about
And
no cricket, but
and
yes.
it feels like you're the ball and it's just you're being thrown and tossed and back and forth.
Mm,
And I would encourage anybody. I know sometimes it's hard to find good, genuine friends. I know
mhm,
sometimes it's hard for you to put yourself out there for for people to see you. Sometimes it's like you're almost invisible. In this world with so many people, sometimes it seems like you're invisible and nobody sees you. I've been there.
mhm,
I've been there where I'm asking God, I need a friend. I need somebody to talk to.
mhm,
And it just seems like nobody gets you, nobody understands you. Sometimes you've been going through this since your childhood. Maybe you were the loner, maybe you were the one that nobody saw in high school or in primary school, in secondary school, and you come in now as adulthood and nobody seems to see you.
mhm,
And that's one of the things that we have intentions on doing with Sisters Unfiltered, right? It's not only about you consuming content over and every week. I know that we laugh and we talk and we testimony and whatever, whatever, but it is about building community within, because we're in New York, you might be in Texas, but you may have
mhm,
somebody else in Texas, bringing people together, because being a woman is challenging in itself. We carry the weight of the world. Being a
mhm,
Black woman has another set of challenges on top of it. Navigating children, navigating life. Maybe you're married, maybe you're single, maybe you're employed, maybe you are in the career you want, maybe you're just having a minimum wage job.
mhm,
Whatever your situation is,
mhm,
it doesn't make you less than anybody else. You still deserve companionship. You still deserve love and appreciation.
mhm. You deserve a sisterhood.
Correct. A community that's behind you,
Mhm,
that's there for you. Sometimes you don't need $5. Maybe you need somebody to talk to and to cry. I remember times we sit down and I come to you and we sit and we talk until we both end up crying
yeah, I'm
because
like
it's
that.
like
That ain't what I signed up for, but we here.
that wasn't part of the agenda. But
Yes. Mhm,
it's deeper than that. It's way deeper than that. And I want to speak directly to people who are living in a stage of regret and disappointment. And that little girl in you, you know, you might feel disappointed in the path that your life has carried you or where you found yourself. God is not
mhm.
over. God is not done with you.
It's not.
It's not the end of the road. You're not out of options. You're here. You're up. You're alive. There
Mhm,
is hope. And I don't want to say, oh, there's hope, like this big ambiguous statement, like, you know, God has a very specific and strategic plan for your life. And let me tell
mhm,
you, 2022 was painful. No, let me rephrase. 2022 was excruciating.
mhm,
2023 was not as excruciating as 2022, but it had its own pain. And 2023 is not over, so don't look to 2024 thinking that, okay, we put a big X in 2023. No, we in November. God that I serve, He's still miracle working, promise keeping. He will shake the whole earth for you. He'll leave the 99 behind, come looking for you.
Mm.
That's
He's the light
how
in the darkness.
important, that is how important God is, how important
Mm-hmm.
you are to God. You're not just a number. He has a plan and a purpose for your life. And
Mm-hmm.
believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Know that. I don't care how old you are. You can be your early 30s, your late 60s. I don't care how old you are. It is not too late. It is not the end of the world, at the end of the road. So if we're talking about womanhood and this little girl on the inside, and this is the final thing I'm going to say when it comes to this little girl on the inside of me. The little girl on the inside of me is still cheering me on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here and I'm alive. And as much darkness and pain and disappointment and hurt that I've experienced in my life, and we talking about testimonies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to tell or had the opportunity to talk to that little girl on the inside of me, no, I would say thank you. Because the tenacity, the audaciousness, the strength, the mindset, the ambition was in me from then.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, I'm here today. And the grace of God, of course.
Amen.
And the grace of God. But I'm not going to discount her. I'm not going to quiet her. You shouldn't either.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we ain't talking about psychological, psychiatric issues. We just put out there.
I promise we're not crazy, guys.
No, we ain't talking about alter egos and multiple personalities,
No.
right? But a lot of times we're walking around with a burden of disappointment because we feel like we didn't do what we were supposed to do, and then we just written off with an X.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my closing arguments, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm. For me, I would say to the little girl inside of me, I would tell her, thank you. I would say, girl, keep cheering me on. Because there's days where I don't cheer for myself. Keep
Mm-hmm.
screaming, keep telling me to keep going. I'll tell her, be gentle with me.
Yeah.
You will make a lot of mistakes. And I would just continuously say thank you. And I thank God that He's positioned us to meet each other the way He did.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be my biggest thanks. And that's all I got for y'all today. Y'all ain't finna have me up here crying no more. I
Right.
tell
And
you that
emotional.
much. Mm-hmm.
So I want to thank you
Right.
so much for joining us on this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I would implore you to do some journaling.
Mm-hmm.
Get some alone time with yourself. I ain't talking about the nails and the hair and all the other self-care looking things, but spend some quiet time with you and God and just
Mm-hmm.
journal. Think back on where He's brought you from. Know that He has a place for you. You're going somewhere. And just share this with somebody. Somebody that you think needs encouragement. Somebody that you think going through a hard time and they need just a lifeline of, I
Mm-hmm.
am not alone. They are not alone, right? Just share it with somebody. It's free. I promise you. We don't charge.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for joining us and see you on another episode of Sisters
Unfiltered.
Unfiltered.
Hi,
See you
y'all. Stay
guys.
blessed.
Bye.